What's up, Wrestling Universe? Welcome back to Wrestling vs. CC, where we break down the biggest stories shaking up the wrestling world. And today, we've got some explosive comments that are sending shockwaves through the WWE universe. Naomi just dropped a bombshell in a recent interview that has everyone talking. She called out two of WWE's most dominant superstars, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, calling them underdogs. Yes, you heard that right. The EST and the Storm are being labeled as underdogs by none other than the Glow herself. But before we dive deep into this controversy, make sure you smash that like button if you're ready for some hard-hitting wrestling analysis, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell because Wrestling vs. CC is your home for the most in-depth wrestling content on YouTube. Now, let's set the stage here, wrestling fans. We're talking about three of the most athletic, charismatic, and powerful women in professional wrestling today. These aren't just any wrestlers, these are game changers who have revolutionized what it means to be a female superstar in WWE. Naomi, the Glow. First, we have Naomi, Trinity Fatu, a woman who has been grinding in WWE since 2009. She's a former SmackDown Women's Champion, a trailblazer who brought that unique combination of athleticism, charisma, and that undeniable glow that captivated audiences worldwide. After her controversial exit from WWE in 2022 alongside her husband Jimmy Uso, her return has been nothing short of spectacular. Bianca Belair, the EST. Then there's Bianca Belair, the EST of WWE, arguably one of the most dominant champions we've seen in the modern era. This woman is a legitimate athlete who conquered both Raw and SmackDown, headlined WrestleMania twice, and has consistently proven that she's not just strong, she's the strongest, not just fast, she's the fastest, not just talented, she's the most talented. Jade Cargill, the Storm. And finally, Jade Cargill, that bitch, who came from AEW with an undefeated streak that lasted over 500 days. Standing at 6 feet tall with the physique of a Greek goddess and the attitude to match, Jade has been positioned as an absolute force since day one of her WWE debut. So when Naomi calls these two powerhouses underdogs, it raises some serious questions about what's really happening behind the scenes in WWE's women's division. Let's break down exactly what Naomi said and why this is causing such a massive stir in the wrestling community. In a recent sit-down interview, Naomi was asked about the current landscape of WWE's women's division and how she fits into the championship picture moving forward. Now, what she said next is what got everyone's attention. Naomi stated, and I quote, "People look at Bianca and Jade and think they're these unstoppable forces, these dominant champions who have everything handed to them. But the reality is, they're still fighting to prove themselves every single day. They're still underdogs in this business, just like the rest of us." Now, on the surface, this might seem like Naomi showing respect to her fellow competitors. But when you really analyze these words, there's so much more going on here. First, let's talk about the phrase, have everything handed to them. This is where things get spicy, wrestling fans. Is Naomi suggesting that Bianca and Jade haven't earned their positions? Is she implying that their success comes from something other than pure talent and hard work? Remember, Bianca Belair has been grinding since her NXT days, working her way up through the developmental system, proving herself at every single level. Her WrestleMania moments weren't handed to her, she earned them through incredible performances and undeniable charisma. And Jade Cargill. Say what you want about her rapid push, but you can't deny that she brings something special to the table. Her presence, her athletic ability, her star power, these aren't things that can just be manufactured or handed to someone. But here's where this gets really interesting, and why I think Naomi's comments are more strategic than they appear on the surface. By calling Bianca and Jade underdogs, Naomi is doing something incredibly clever. She's reframing the entire conversation about who deserves opportunities in WWE's women's division. Think about it, if the EST and the Storm are still underdogs, then what does that make someone like Naomi? What does that make the other women on the roster who are fighting for their chance at championship gold? This narrative positioning is genius from a storytelling perspective. Naomi is essentially saying, look, even the women you think are at the top are still fighting for respect, so imagine how much harder it is for everyone else. There's also this underlying theme about respect that runs through Naomi's comments. She's highlighting that despite their accolades, despite their championship reigns, despite their WrestleMania moments, these women are still having to prove themselves every single day. And you know what? She's not wrong. Look at how quickly the wrestling world turns on champions. Look at how quickly fans and critics start questioning whether someone deserves their position. Even someone as accomplished as Bianca Belair faces constant scrutiny about her booking, her opponents, her championship reigns. But there's another layer here that I find fascinating. By acknowledging Bianca and Jade as fellow underdogs, Naomi is actually creating a sense of solidarity rather than division. She's not positioning herself against them, she's positioning herself with them in this ongoing battle for recognition and respect. This is incredibly smart positioning because it allows Naomi to show respect to her competitors, highlight the challenges all women face in WWE, position herself as someone who understands the struggle, create potential storyline opportunities for alliances or rivalries. Now let's flip the script and consider how this might land from Bianca Belair's perspective. The EST has worked incredibly hard to establish herself as exactly that, the EST of WWE. She's prided herself on being the strongest, the fastest, the most athletic. Her entire brand is built around being at the top of the food chain, not being an underdog. So when someone like Naomi suggests that she's still fighting to prove herself, still in that underdog position, how does that sit with Bianca's carefully crafted image? Bianca has held both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. She's main evented WrestleMania. She's beaten legends like Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Asuka. From her perspective, she might feel like she's already proven everything she needs to prove. But here's the thing, and this is where Naomi's comments gain some validity. Even with all those accomplishments, Bianca still faces questions about her booking, her opponents, whether she's being pushed too hard, too fast. The wrestling community, unfortunately, has a way of never letting anyone feel completely secure in their position. Bianca has often referred to herself as the standard of WWE's women's division. But being the standard comes with immense pressure. Every match is scrutinized. Every promo is analyzed. Every storyline decision is questioned. In that sense, maybe Naomi is right. Maybe Bianca is still an underdog, not because of her position on the card, but because she's constantly fighting against unrealistic expectations and criticism that comes with being at the top. Jade Cargill's situation is perhaps the most interesting in all of this, because her journey to WWE has been unlike anyone else's. Jade came to WWE with this incredible undefeated streak from AEW, over 500 days as TBS champion. She was positioned as an absolute force in AEW, someone who was virtually unstoppable. Her move to WWE was one of the biggest acquisitions in recent memory. But here's the thing, despite that incredible resume, Jade is still proving herself in WWE. She's in a completely different environment, with different expectations, different opponents, different storylines. What Naomi might be getting at is that no matter what you've accomplished elsewhere, no matter how dominant you've been, when you step into WWE, you're starting fresh in many ways. Jade might have been the storm in AEW, but in WWE, she's still building that legacy. And that's not a knock on Jade at all. It's just the reality of transitioning between companies, between different wrestling cultures, between different fan expectations. Now, nobody can deny Jade's physical presence. At 6 feet tall with her incredible physique and undeniable charisma, she looks like a champion. But looking like a champion and being accepted as a champion by WWE's universe are two different things. Jade is still in that phase where she's proving that her success wasn't just a product of AEW's booking, but a testament to her own abilities as a performer. Here's where we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture of what Naomi is really addressing with these comments. WWE's women's evolution has been ongoing for years now, but the reality is that female superstars still face challenges that their male counterparts simply don't deal with. Women's matches are still scrutinized differently. Women's storylines are still questioned differently. Women's championship reigns are still analyzed through a different lens. In that context, every woman in WWE, from the biggest stars to the newest signees, is still fighting for respect, still fighting for equal treatment, still fighting to be seen as legitimate main event attractions. What Naomi is highlighting is that in WWE's women's division, you're never really made it. You're always one bad storyline, one injury, one creative decision away from being moved down the card. Look at the careers of women like Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Moné, Bayley. Even the most accomplished women have faced periods where they had to rebuild, reprove themselves, fight their way back to the top. There's also the media aspect to consider. Wrestling media and fan communities have a way of constantly debating who deserves their position, who's being pushed too hard, who's being held back. Even someone like Bianca, with all her accomplishments, still faces these discussions. Even someone like Jade, with her incredible presence, still has people questioning whether she's ready for certain positions. Now, let's talk about what this could mean for future WWE programming, because Naomi's comments could be setting up some incredible storyline possibilities. One possibility is that this creates an opportunity for a powerful alliance. Imagine Naomi, Bianca, and Jade coming together as a dominant faction, united by this shared experience of constantly having to prove themselves despite their obvious talents. This could be huge for WWE's women's division, a group of athletic, charismatic, powerful women who decide they're tired of being questioned and are going to take control of their own narratives. On the flip side, this could also set up some incredible rivalries. If Bianca or Jade take offense to being called underdogs, that could create some amazing tension. Imagine Bianca responding with something like, "Underdog. I'm the EST. I don't prove myself to anyone anymore. I am the standard." That writes itself as a compelling storyline. With multiple women's championships across Raw and SmackDown, these dynamics could play into future title pictures. Who deserves opportunities? Who's proven themselves? Who's still fighting for that ultimate validation? These are the kinds of questions that create compelling wrestling television. The wrestling community's response to Naomi's comments has been fascinating to watch unfold. Many fans are rallying behind Naomi's perspective, arguing that she's absolutely right about the ongoing challenges that women face in WWE. They point to examples of how quickly female champions can be moved down the card, how their storylines are often secondary to men's storylines, how they still face scrutiny that male superstars don't deal with. These fans see Naomi's comments as highlighting an important truth about the wrestling industry that needs to be discussed more openly. On the other side, some fans feel that calling Bianca and Jade underdogs diminishes their incredible accomplishments. They argue that both women have clearly established themselves as top-tier superstars and that framing them as still proving themselves is unfair to their hard work and success. These fans worry that this narrative could actually hurt Bianca and Jade's positioning in WWE. Then there are fans who see both sides, acknowledging that while Bianca and Jade have accomplished incredible things, the reality of WWE is that everyone is constantly fighting for their position, constantly proving themselves, constantly working to stay relevant. To really understand the significance of Naomi's comments, we need to look at the historical context of women's wrestling and how far the industry has come. Just 15 years ago, women's matches were often seen as bathroom breaks during WWE programming. Female wrestlers were given minimal time, minimal storylines, and minimal respect. The women's evolution changed a lot of that, but it didn't eliminate all the challenges. Women's wrestling has come incredibly far, but there's still progress to be made. Women like Naomi, Bianca, and Jade are standing on the shoulders of trailblazers who fought to establish women's wrestling as legitimate main event entertainment. But with that legacy comes responsibility and pressure. Each generation of female wrestlers has had to prove that they deserve their spot, that they can deliver in big moments, that they can be trusted with championship gold and main event opportunities. What Naomi is acknowledging is that even in 2025, even after the women's evolution, even with women main eventing WrestleMania, the fight continues. The fight for respect, for equal treatment, for recognition as legitimate superstars. In that sense, every woman in WWE is still an underdog. They're still fighting against decades of industry conditioning that positioned them as secondary to male performers. Wrestling fans, what we're witnessing with Naomi's comments is much bigger than just one interview or one opinion about two wrestlers. This is about the ongoing evolution of women's wrestling, the complex dynamics of respect and recognition in WWE, and the reality that even the biggest stars face ongoing challenges in maintaining their positions. Whether you agree with Naomi calling Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill underdogs, or not, you have to respect the deeper conversation she's starting about what it means to be a woman in professional wrestling today. Here's what I think is most important. Naomi isn't diminishing Bianca and Jade's accomplishments. She's highlighting that in WWE's women's division, the fight never really ends. Success doesn't guarantee security. Championships don't eliminate criticism. Accomplishments don't stop the questions. And maybe that's what makes these three women, Naomi, Bianca, and Jade, so compelling. They're not just wrestlers, they're warriors in an ongoing battle to establish women's wrestling as equal to men's wrestling in every way that matters. What do you think, Wrestling Universe? Are Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill still underdogs, despite their incredible success? Is Naomi right about the ongoing challenges women face in WWE? Or do you think her comments miss the mark? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing your perspectives on these complex wrestling storylines and real-world dynamics. And remember, if you enjoyed this deep dive analysis, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Wrestlingverse CC for more hard-hitting wrestling content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss when we break down the biggest stories in sports entertainment. Until next time, keep wrestling, keep discussing, and keep supporting the incredible athletes who make this industry so compelling to follow. This is Wrestlingverse CC, and we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to check out our other recent videos analyzing the latest WWE storylines, championship pictures, and backstage drama that's shaping the future of sports entertainment.